proliferation of tools. It's really built to make cybersecurity easier. All right, I doxed you from the green room. I couldn't stop. Welcome back to
record that, you know.
Welcome back to another episode of the MSB Cyber Roundtable. You guys caught the tail end of Joe's dance routine. Welcome back, Joe. We're going to be talking about building revenue in our existing client base today, but we haven't talked, I believe, since the summer. How's it been treating you, man?
It's been fantastic. It actually has been pretty good.
Yeah. So,
the beginning of the year was pretty rough because with all the economic uncertainty, people were like, ah! And then it kind of picked up a little bit. So I think it's getting better. I think we're starting to see a shift.
Yeah. Well, people still have to do business, right? So I last saw you in a conference cafe. You were wearing a pair of, what are those, Vibrams, the foot shoes?
Yeah. I usually have them like right near me so I can show you them, but today I'm just barefoot.
Yeah.
I walked to the office with no shoes on today.
Yeah. Do you? So wait, how far is it to the office?
No. It's so I live in an apartment building, so I rent another apartment that's my office. So I just walked down the hall today with no shoes on. I was just like,
I have a similar experience. Yeah. I walk. If I follow the street, there'd be a long way, but the short way is to cross through a cemetery. And I walk through a cemetery. It's like walking through history every day. First of all, not that many people enjoy the cemetery the way I do. Secondly, it's like 250 years of history in that cemetery. So I get to enjoy that. I get to enjoy that. And then I arrive at my office and, in any case,
I do that like on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, I will take the kids to the military cemeteries, so all the different ones that are around, and we just go walk around and look at history, and we look people up, and like if we find a Silver Star or Medal of Honor recipients, we look them up on Wikipedia and we see who they were and we find out about their life. It's really interesting.
It's in my cemetery in particular, there's a section of it that at least for this country is very old, predates our union.
Wow.
Yeah,
that must be cool. That must be very cool.
It is pretty cool. Unfortunately, back in the 90s, a bunch of kids took sledgehammers to a bunch of the old stones. But you can there's still some of those old ones standing, and you can still read them. But it's prehistorical because no one has any freaking clue. It predates the Historical Society and any of their records. It predates the local village. No one has any idea who these people are. And we'll never.
So what you have to do is you have to look them up. You got to figure out where the name is from, and look them up over there in the country that they came from, because that's where it doesn't figure it out.
I'm not that smart, but I wish someone was, because I wonder. Anyway, so weekend plans. What do you got?
So every year. We used to do it in October, so we still call it Oktoberfest. So you and I, we've known each other for a bit. So I started working when I was 11. So I have a group of friends that I'm the youngest one, right? The next youngest guy is 65, and then everybody's from 65 to 88. That's like the group. So it's
Oh, so you're
people
like
that
the unlucky schmuck still working?
yeah, I'm the unlucky smoke that's still working, right? So actually, even the 88 still works. Like everybody,
Oh,
like
okay.
I know grinders, like the people they're crazy,
Yeah.
all of them. They just will not stop working. They all just still work.
Oh, it's good for you.
And so they're like, if I retire, I'll die. So they're just always going. And we get together out in Hampton Bays once a year, about 30 of us. And so,
Wow, that's super
yeah,
exciting.
yeah. So it's so we get together, we write poetry, we sculpt, we freaking swim. The pool will be open. We have the hot tub will be open, so we'll be that. There's a tennis court. We'll go down to the beach. We like hang out and we play music. My daughter is the real youngest person there because she's been coming since she was 7, so she's 15 now, and she'll be coming. She'll bring her bass, her guitar. There'll be a couple of other. There'll be at least 2 Grammy Award winning jazz musicians there. So it's a
That's
fun, eclectic, weird group of people.
and here I am
Together.
thinking like I gotta make some weekend plans, and now I feel even worse about it. But anyway.
Hey, if you want to come over, just come over and we'll hang out for the weekend. That you'll be a nice addition to this bunch. So it'll be good. And it'd
All
be nice
right.
to have somebody younger than me there. So
Well, we're talking about building revenue in our existing accounts today, right? So should we get into it?
we should get into it.
Well, before we jump into it, because I know you've got a methodology you're going to run through to explain the space and the whys, but let's just get into the mental state here, right? So we're a pretty average MSP. What I mean by that is most MSPs, right?
Yeah.
Operate at high maturities in some functional areas, right? Moderate maturities in other functional areas and low maturity in other areas, right?
And in this area, we happen to see that it's mostly low.
Yeah, it's mostly low because mostly the MSP industry is full of problem solvers that like delivering solutions to their customers, right? And they don't like squeezing the lemon, right? They don't want to feel like they're squeezing the lemon for every
Yeah.
last drop. They want
Yeah.
good relationships. But I guess the message for today is it shouldn't be like that, right? It
Well,
shouldn't feel like that.
you shouldn't squeeze the lemon.
Yeah.
You should provide so much value that people are ecstatic to give you money.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
So the idea, as weird as it sounds, is how do I put more juice in the lemon?
Right. Right. All right. All right. So with that framing, I'm gonna let you take it away here. I'm gonna pull out of the magical green room with this little button swipe here.
All right.
Uh, we have your practice here. I guess should we introduce your practice, Start, Grow, Manage? Should we spend a moment there?
I'll chat about it if you want. So in case you don't know, I'm Joe from Start, Grow, Manage. My partner Jeff was supposed to be here, but he's on vacation, so we're going to have a really good time making fun of him today. And I was too lazy to take his picture off the slide before we came. So if you haven't heard of us, we're like an MBA program for MSPs. We help MSPs get out of the technical day-to-day and scale. So that's who we are and what we do. Anything else you want to say about us, Matt?
Well, I got to say, there's a whole cottage industry of coaches, peer groups, etc. I love making referrals for people to start, grow, manage when they really need. I know that you said it's like an MBA program, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to point out that in an MBA program, typically you're sitting in a classroom with a bunch of people watching a lecture, right? And that's not exactly what happens here. It's more like an executive MBA program, if you're familiar with the difference, right?
Yeah. Exactly that.
And yeah, and I can really appreciate it. I had my own similar experience starting the software company where I went to an accelerator, and I think that every small business owner should find their version of that if they really want to get to the next level. But I'll let you take it.
All right, all right. So, um, we have a nice community, so feel free to check that out. Check us out, and what we're going to talk about today is what we've learned is the fastest way to make money. And we didn't know this when we started, but it turned out to be the secret behind our guarantee of success, right? So we actually have a guarantee you can get your money back from us. And if any company does this, they get a significant boost in revenue, and not just revenue, but revenue without adding new clients, which is my favorite kind, right? And the secret is strategic business reviews. And unlike like traditional QBRs and TBRs, this type of valuable strategic business review leaves clients asking for more, right? Which is what you were talking about before, Matt, where it's like you're instead of squeezing the juice out, they're like, give me more, give me more. How do I do that? How do I get more of that? And what we're seeing is that clients love them, and it brings you thousands and thousands of MRR. Now, before we go any further, I also do want to bring up some interesting insights. Matt was with me at the GTIA at ChannelCon recently. And so we want to talk about how this ties into the MSP trends that are going on. So Carolyn April, who is a rock star researcher, right? She's super bright and articulate and does some of the most amazing work over there at GTIA. She said that we fully moved into the services era, and that sometimes your clients are getting their hardware and software support elsewhere. So your clients are often doing that. What does that mean for you? Right? You're now relegated to this, just like, oh, you just do the security, you just do that. Or how do you move into that space? And Noelle Russell, and she's the chief executive of AI Leadership Institute, who is also at GTI. Did you see her talk, Matt?
I did catch at least one thing from her. I'm not sure if she spoke more than once, but I saw her. I believe it was like her version of a keynote.
Yeah, that was her keynote was so good, right? And so she's the executive of the AI Leadership Institute. She's a big deal in the AI space. Yeah, she's bringing AI to companies. She was one of the lead engineers at with the Alexa team when Amazon deployed Alexa. So she does AI bots, AI automations, and she said that MSPs have to prepare for a ticketless world, a ticketless future, and it's coming.
You know what? I want to stop for a second. I've been talking to partners about this for years. Particularly around some of the security interventions that are proactive, right? Yeah. And me describing my opinions on the best way to A, deliver security value, but B, talk about it with your clients so they understand the business value, right? And it's tough in organizations that want everything to be translated into a ticket because that's the way, it turns into like ticket speedometers. We had N number of tickets of this type and N number of tickets of that type. And that's their whole conversation with their client. And I've been trying to push back against that for years. And I think some people get it. And, some people are still like just playing with the speedometer dashboards. And that's like their conversation with their client. But I've been unsuccessful. I've been unsuccessful in switching people from camp A to camp B.
But that's okay. The people that don't switch from camp A to camp B are going to be out of work because camp A is going to disappear. It's going to go away.
I agree. But I mean, they're essentially fabricating tickets just to like say that they're doing tickets, right?
But see, as AI starts to take over the work more and more, there won't be any tickets. Like there won't be any tickets. When she says you have to prepare for a ticketless future, what you got to get what's coming, right? I mean, if you think about IT the way it was in the late 80s, right? Like I remember when I started, you were configuring token ring networks. Right? Remember token ring networks? I don't think you're too young to remember token ring.
I do remember the stupidity of someone unplugging their computer and the whole network going down.
Well, there's that. But see, when you had to configure a token ring network card, you actually had dip switches on the card. Yeah, you had to pull the card out and configure the dip switches, and then put it in, and then test it, and then fix the dip switches so that everything would work, right? And so we thought, oh my God, we're going to have work forever because this is so hard. Nobody's going to be able to do this, right? And then 6 months later, when Ethernet came out, all the work was gone. Like it was just like it configured itself. Right? So that's what's going to happen to our tickets. As AI starts to take over level 1, level 2 tasks, those tickets are going to go away. They're just going to get done. And at the same time, we're seeing SMBs take technology seriously. They're seeing it as a differentiating advantage, and they're investing heavily, right? The technology market is growing. And what this means is that the key to doing well as an MSP is getting closer to the clients and developing more and more client-centric solutions, using your tech brains and capabilities to drive business results. And stop tech vomiting on people because they don't care about them. Stop it. So this is why we say that the MSP business model is ending. We've been talking about it, and we're actually writing a book about it right now. So we're really excited about that. And so what we're looking at and talking about is the business solutions provider model, right? Or the BSP. And that's where you're a partner. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I gotta say, this is full circle, right? Because this is the way we sold IT in the 80s. Right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Right? Because you were solving real business problems, and then it started because it was so difficult. You could be a technology guy and you could just be a tech guy, come into the space. And because it was so difficult for the end users to do things, you needed to just solve their tech problems. But now, as the end users are more and more savvy, you need to solve business problems. If you're not solving a business problem, they don't care because they understand the tech. So you have to understand their business outcomes and their goals. And this is where strategic business reviews help you bridge that gap, because the questions that you're asking, and we're going to go over some of those questions today, help you do that, right? And the question is, how do you become that kind of partner? And I'm going to walk you through some case studies of 3 different MSPs, but we use the same approach, right? With the same powerful results based on understanding the customer. So let's talk about that. The first guy is William, right? And his whole thing is, I need more sales. I need more sales, man. Right? And I know that sounds familiar to a lot of people. A lot of you are going, I need more sales. And then there was Robert, right? And I know if you're out there, you probably had this experience. You probably thought about this, man. My marketing is broken, right? Somebody somewhere out there has this same thing, right? And it's how it was for Rob from C-Glass. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate. And then the last one was Michael Rodka from Agility. And his big concern was being able to compete. And what really hurts is that he was actually losing clients to higher price competitors. Hurts my soul, Matt. Hurts my soul. But he felt that he couldn't compete. So if you're out there, you can probably relate with some of these problems, right? And if you don't have any of these problems, then the stuff that I'm going to talk about today is not going to help you. So you can
Well, or maybe get a little more introspective is really because we all have these problems.
Now, if you do have these problems, here's what we discovered with these 3 guys, right? Will and Robert and Mike, although their problem was sales, marketing, and differentiation, they couldn't invest in these things because they didn't have the resources. So our solution became the same for everybody. What we saw is that every day, as they were walking out of their house to beat the pavement, to sell new logos, they were leaving money on the porch, right? They were ignoring the easiest, cheapest, most accessible sales opportunities, their current clients. So stop it. Stop leaving the money on the porch. Because sometimes, you know what the problem with the money on the porch is, Matt?
This analogy is maybe a little abstract, but
Well,
I mean it's people are
you,
going to
you
walk
walk,
off with it. Someone else is
you
going to
have,
grab it.
you have the money on the kitchen table. Well, what did you say?
Someone else is going to grab it, sitting on the
Somebody
porch.
else is going to grab it, right? So this is what
Yeah.
was happening to Mike. People were coming by and saying, "Hey, we fixed that problem," and he's like, "Oh, I don't fix that problem because I'm a technology guy." And we're going to talk about what the problem was in a little while, but it's like, I don't fix that problem because I'm a technology guy. And somebody would take the money off his porch, and eventually that will pull the money off his kitchen table too.
Yeah.
Right. So it is not that abstract, because the problem with the money on the porch is that the people walking down the street can see it too. So you got to bring that money in the house. Stop leaving it on the porch. I don't know about you, but in our experience working with hundreds of MSPs, if you aren't conducting strategic business reviews, you're leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the porch. And we see it over and over and over again. So the key is getting started with SBRs, and is to understand one thing very clearly. Why do businesses, and by that I mean people, pay for IT?
I got to say, this is a really different. I would have answered this question totally different like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Because these days, not only do we have like junior people that are pretty technically adept,
Yeah.
but we have middle managers that are pretty technically adept.
Yes.
And so the pitch has got to be way different than it was 10 years ago, because just about anyone can sign up for Office 365 or Google Suite and basically wander through the maze of like enrollment. It may create a lot of problems or a lot of challenges, right? And that's where the question gets a little more interesting, right?
So why do they buy? Why do you think they buy, right? So and the thing to remember is businesses don't buy anything. A business is just a piece of paper. So no business has ever bought anything. There are individuals that buy things. And this is particularly important from a marketing standpoint, because you need to communicate with the individual. So no, not the business. So as you keep that in mind, the reason why people buy IT services is for one of two things. They either want to make more money or they want to save time. That's it. It's not complex. It's not as complex as you thought. And this is what we have to understand. Nobody's sitting around saying, I really need computers, or I need cybersecurity or compliance. They're sitting around saying, I need a vacation. They're sitting around saying, I need more money. They're sitting around saying, I need to build my team. They're actually not particularly worried about business continuity, right? Except if it's a risk to their time or their money. That's it. And that's the only time they're worried about it, by the way. So your job is to translate technology into time and money. So you have to understand how technology turns into time and money, and you must translate it into their language, And the key to that is to understand how they generate more revenue, how they make money, how their business works, how they get clients, and on and on. And when you can talk time and money, then your clients want to engage in the conversation. If not, it's a really boring, awful, painful QBR or TBR. Have you ever been in one of those, Matt?
I've been in other people's. Yeah.
They kind of look like this, right? Right?
I am going to say sometimes I see an amazingly prepared presentation.
Yeah.
Right. But usually what I think is, oh man, those PowerPoint slides are painful right now.
They are.
Yeah. And that's sometimes what I see, right? And the customer's asking like, why am I here? Why did I give this hour away?
Why did I give this hour away? So let's talk about Will, right? I need more sales. When we really talked to him about his needs, he came up with these issues, right? I'm under pressure. I got no time. I'm always in the trenches. And so it made him feel like he needed more sales. But the bigger problem was that his prices were too low, man. They were just way too low. So he had no money to hire people. And he was caught in the boom and bust cycle. You get some clients, everything's going great, and then you boom.
Yeah,
bust,
you don't have time for BD. Yeah.
Right. And so you can see this amazing Photoshop job that Jeff did.
It's almost like he tried to make it look that amazing.
So Will was having QBRs, but they weren't doing him any favors. They were annoying, and people hated him and wanted him out of their office. They were like, "How do I get out of here? I got to get back to work." But he changed the approach, right? To listen more, and he learned that what his dental client really wanted was ultra reliable systems to squeeze as much as possible from their expensive assets so they could maximize their high value time, right? So, hold on. There we go. But then he changed the conversation, right? We eliminate X-ray system downtime, all the information on any screen, AI phone answers, that answers. You won't need that additional office manager. Then what his clients started thinking, instead of before, like, it was like, where you been all my life? Come on. Let me give you some money. When he changed the conversation to ask about their needs, his whole thing improved. He started talking about those ultra reliable systems. What it meant for him is he was able to double his price literally overnight. Literally overnight. We doubled revenue overnight. It took 6 months to prep for the price increase, but when it happened, it was, you had the same number of people, same number of expenses, same number of everything, but we were able to double revenue. Right? He lost 2 clients in the process and gained back 40% of his help desk time. So 2 out of 88, not bad. And gained 40% of his, and 40K MRR extra. Come on. The same thing happened with Robert, right? He thought his marketing with too many different clients, not enough revenue. And what we saw is the same thing. Clients have different stacks, the high costs, high revenue, right? Owners not fully compensated. And we discovered the opportunity existed for him in cross-selling and upselling, right? He needed to do cross-selling and upselling. The problem is that he'd go in and he'd start talking about the underlying technology. So he'd come in, our AI system is built on transformer-based architecture, optimized, blah, blah, blah. And these people were thinking, when's lunch? How do I get out of here? But when he changed his conversation and started talking, this guy works with financial companies. When he started, our AI systems review data rooms and gives you a summary that identifies risk. We've seen that using this system can lead to a 20% valuation improvement, right? It fits within our compliance framework and it helps minimize risk. Where can I buy? It's a whole different conversation. You're talking about the problem that this buyer has. And it's a whole different thing. And when we went back to his clients and started this process of cross-selling and upselling, he did a little price increase and finagled that here and there. But over the course of a few months, he gets 152% increase in revenue.
So it sounds like he probably had some really great customer relationships, and probably better than other people that had seats at the table in the budget, and he just wasn't asking for his share.
He wasn't.
his customers were probably very happy to not be paying someone they didn't like and give it to someone that they did like.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Quick question. When I share my screen here, does it share the sound too?
I don't know.
Oh, well, we're going to find out in a minute. So this the problem with Mike from Agility Face. So you'll tell me if it doesn't share the sound, then I'll stop sharing and start sharing it. So the problem Mike from Agility Face was, he was losing clients. They were coming in and taking money off his porch all the time. So he's like, yeah, it's in my money, but where are you going? And the perception is, okay, well, you need price competition. You got to lower your prices. And he felt he was always stuck in this losing budget hell, right? And you guys know budget hell. It's like, they're like, oh yeah, our budget's $100. And he wasn't having CO level conversations. He was having conversations with the office manager, the lowest level IT technician, while the CO was interviewing other MSPs. So here's a quick question, right? For all of you out there, who actually knows what's going on in the business? Who can always say yes and doesn't care about budget? Who is that?
That's the office manager for sure.
Or, well, really, or in his case, because they're these big companies that he's working with, is the CEO, right?
Oh, okay.
So the CEO is a person that knows, who can say yes and doesn't care about the budget. I find sometimes that the office manager cares more about the budget than the CEO does.
Okay, so I tell people this all the time. I use different terminology here, which is that when you hear from the customer, we don't have the budget for it, right? Like, what does that even mean, right? Businesses don't they don't make decisions once a year on every little thing, right? They're making decisions all year. The budget exists to give the rest of the team a framework to operate in.
Yes.
Right. But if you're bringing strategic value to the table, that budget can change anytime.
And it's about the value. You just said the magic word, right? It's about the value. If you provide value, in other words, if I come in and I say, hey, I'm going to charge you $300 a seat for IT. And you're going to be compliant and your data is going to be secure, right? You're going to tell me what? I don't have the budget for that. Go ahead, say it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're an office manager who's been given a line item,
yeah, to say I don't have the budget for that. Go ahead.
I don't have the budget for that.
Now, if I come in and I say, hey, you're going to spend $300 a seat with me, and for every dollar you put in, I'm going to give you $3 back in gains in productivity and output to your supply line.
Yep.
Now what?
Yeah, I mean that's net new right there.
Miraculously, you have the budget now. If I go visit the same exact client and ask that question, have two MSPs come in, the first one says what I said the first time, the second one says what I said the second time, miraculously on the second try, they all have the budget. Right? So tell me if you can hear this, if you can, because I want him to say it in his own words, right? So tell me if you can hear it or you can't hear it. Can you hear that?
Joined Start Grow was, we went and did alignment meetings, technical alignment meetings, which if anybody's ever done them, nobody enjoys them. The customer doesn't enjoy them. The tech doing them doesn't enjoy them. The VCIO does not enjoy doing them. They're just boring. We got an education when we started to take that more of a business approach, which we've always been more of a business approach company. I don't know why we were doing technical alignments ever. So now those alignments went from 100% technical to a little bit of technical, because part of that is what we do. But it's grown more into a business side. And I found that from doing that, we've started to migrate from talking to the technical people only to the business owners and the CFOs and the CIOs. It's those type of people that we talk to. And we've been able to come up with more solutions for the company, not just on a technical term, but on to help them improve processes and the way that their business runs. I would do it.
So that's a whole different world, right? They didn't want to talk about tech, and they have solvable problems. Most clients don't want to talk about tech, and all of them have solvable problems. And this is important because all of you out there listening to this, you have amazing technical brains that can solve real problems for your clients. Because your clients have no idea how to do the things that you know how to do. You just have to focus and understand how to solve those problems. Right? So for Mike, he moved to the CEO level conversations, had meaningful solutions, and they literally became irreplaceable. So you have to stop doing technical quarterly business reviews. Stop it. Right? No TBRs, no QBRs. Stop it. What you want to do is you want to demonstrate value and have CEO level conversations. You're a CEO most of the time. You have to talk CEO to CEO because that is where the money is. So the question that I get all the time is like, well, so John, how do you do that? How do you get strategic? Well, you make it about their business, their money. And you can ask them one question that will start to unlock that whole thing, which is, what would make your business more successful? What's missing from this question, Matt?
Well, successful at what?
Well, no. Well,
there's no money there.
But if you ask that question, what would make your business more successful? The thing that's missing from this question that's in a regular QBR is technology. There's no technology in this question. We don't want to ask technology questions. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through a process that we have our clients walk their clients through, right? That opens up all these doors that we've been talking about. And we call this framework the game plan, right? And this framework is the one, these are the questions that we recommend that you ask. So these are writer downers. So you may want to write these down. So the first question is, what are you proud of? Now, I have asked that question in a strategic business review, and I had to end the meeting and the CEO was still talking. Right? Because sometimes, especially if you get them at the beginning of the year and you ask them what they're proud of and they're just present to the whole year that just passed and all this stuff. But the next question is, what do you regret? What do you wish had gone differently? And when you ask these questions, they tell you stuff. I went and did a series of questions like this with one of our clients. I went and did an SBR live with one of our clients 2 weeks ago. Okay. We went to two clients, and at one client, we uncovered a $300,000 project. At the other client, we recovered a project about $400,000. Just by asking these questions, without asking any technical questions and without talking about technical stuff. The next question that I like a lot is, what are you confident in right now? And what do you lack? What's missing? Here, they'll tell you all the things that they're looking to do. Like, oh, I wish we had a CRM. We're doing everything on spreadsheets. We're doing this thing. We're doing that thing. If we could do this way, if we could do, they'll 10 projects will come out of this. What do you hear, Matt? What do you see? Because you do consultative sales also. And so I know that you use this kind of stuff.
I do use those, actually use these same questions. I don't pair them that way, but I can see how the first question primes them for the thinking in the second question.
Yeah.
And that looks really interesting. This is interview style.
Yeah.
it's been a few years since I did real consultative selling.
Yeah.
I used to always do that as on-sites like all day.
Yeah.
And I would ask questions like this to not just the CEO, but
Everybody. Yeah.
everyone, every department head gets an interview.
Yeah.
Because I want to know what their jobs are, right? And I want to
I'm
bring that whole list back to the CEO, right?
that's the secret sauce right there. The secret sauce is you go do that and you bring that whole list back to the CEO and you ask the CEO these questions. And after the CEO answers his questions, you can say, well, let me tell you what your team said.
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden, like you can see where the overlaps are, where the gaps are, all kinds of cool stuff. Another question we like a lot is, what are you excited about right now? And so usually I do these in with a temporal context. So when I ask the first question, I go, when you think about the last 6 months, what are you proud of? Right. And then they tell me, and I go, what do you regret? And then when I talk about the middle question, I go, well, as you sit here with me right now, what are you confident in? And then they'll talk and talk and talk and talk. And I go, well, what do you lack? And then when they finish, I go, well, when you think about the next 6 months, what are you excited about? And they'll tell me all the cool projects that are coming up. I go, well, what keeps you up at night? What are you worried about? Right. And now your job is to ask these questions and then do what, Matt?
Well, sometimes there's some obvious answers, right?
I know, but
usually
what's
we
the most
take them away and we think about them, right?
great? So the most important thing is that you ask a question, you shut up, listen, write it down, and do exactly. Now, I ask these 6 questions to prime them for the next question. In the next question, they're going to tell you what they want and in what order they want it in. And the next question that I always ask after I ask these questions is, what are the 5 things that need to happen over the next year that are going to give you more pride, confidence, and excitement? And they will talk and talk and break it down for you in order. And now you're going to write all that down and you're going to do exactly what Matt said. Right? So tell us a little bit more about that, Matt. What happens in that process? You now have all this information. You go away. Now what?
So when I ask, and I love these questions, by the way. When I do this process, I usually ask about 1 year and 5 year plans. The 1 year plan, they sort of have some actual ideas that are tangible, but I love asking about the 5 year plan. And you could tell that most people, when I ask them, it's like deer in headlights.
Yep.
Because most CEOs don't have a 5 year plan.
They don't.
And they stop and they actually dream for a moment. And that moment of dreaming is actually really useful because it gives you permission to offer solutions that they never would have asked for. And I think that this is accomplishing the same goal, right? Getting them to dream just enough, right? So that you can then come up with actually a really great plan for that dream. And you don't need to sell them the whole dream. You just need to sell them the first piece of that dream, right?
And that's really, not only do you not need to sell them the whole dream and you need to sell them the first piece of that dream, but it's the fact that you're the conduit to the dream itself. Nobody's asking them these questions, especially their MSP. And think about the emotional connection that creates to you.
Oh, business owners love to have that conversation. They are not talking about they don't talk about this stuff with their own team.
Exactly.
They certainly don't talk about, they may react with fear, right? And people let that out in different ways, but they typically don't they typically are not so transparent about, I'm not very confident about, I'm worried about, I regret this. And so their team doesn't even their team may be surprised that they've noticed the same things that the CEOs noticed. They're both afraid of the same thing and they're not talking to each other, right? I've seen that all the time. So it's really amazing, the response you get when you bring back the proposal.
Yeah.
And it's directly aligned with the strategic plan that they didn't know that maybe they had, right?
That's phenomenal, right? So good. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about. I'm gonna show you the next slide, and then I'm gonna come back to that point that you just made, because that point is critical. Like when you bring back the proposal, and so we'll come back to that. So if I forget, just remind me. The other framework that we like a lot for when you're doing strategic business reviews is SWOT, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We have some great content around this. So you could go to our website. You can just go to the blog and search for SWOT. We have a whole thing on it. If you want to go look at that, you can go look at that there. But out of doing a SWOT, you walk in and you do a SWOT with one of your clients today, I promise you're going to walk out with 5 projects.
What I love about the SWOT is that you
Yeah.
can fit that into a short meeting.
Yes.
I've been experimenting over the last 5 years or so with the business model canvas.
Yeah. I love the
but
BMC. We have it
but-
on we have it on the website also. If you want.
Yeah, but it takes a long time, and
Yeah.
But you can get through a SWOT in a meeting. You can get through it in a time bound period.
Yeah, 45 to 90 minutes, depending on the size of the organization, you can get through a SWOT. Now, often I will talk to an MSP and I will say, hey, you've got to do strategic business reviews. And they're like, oh, we do technical alignments, or we do TBRs, or we do QBRs. And I go, okay, well, tell me about the annual objectives. And they go, huh? And I go, well, the annual objectives. And they're like, what? Well, if you're meeting quarterly, what are you meeting against? So the thing to get really clear about this is that from the moment you onboard the client, and if you haven't done this yet with a client, then you need to re-onboard your existing client. You have to define what are the objectives over the next year, and like Matt said, 5 years. Because when you give them that opportunity to dream, that space that's there, it tells you where they're headed. You know where they're headed now. So now when you meet with them again, you can actually give them progress against the thing that they told you that they want to accomplish, that you're helping them accomplish. And you can start to track that progress so that they're looking forward to these meetings. You do a SWOT like the one Matt just talked about, and you come back 3 months later and you show them all the progress that you've made against that SWOT or against the questions, against the game plan. Goodness gracious. And then you do it again, and then you do it again. And now,
yeah, the business owners will keep giving you rope if you keep reeling it in.
Keep reeling it in, but you gotta reel it in, and you've got to give them progress, and you've got to give them updates, and you have to show them how the money that they're investing with you is helping them make more money. You've got to tie your outcomes directly to their bottom line, right? And you need one tool. There is one tool that you need that is the most important tool, right, to be able to do this effectively. What do you think that one tool is?
These trick questions are getting a little much for me.
It's only one. There it is. Right?
All right.
If you've got one of those, you can actually get it done, because all you need to do is listen. You just have to listen and write it down. If you got a number 2 pencil, you're golden. I used to do these with a yellow pad and a number 2 pencil, and that was it. I'd go in, I'd ask the questions, I'd write everything down, I'd go away for a week or two, I'd come back with a set of proposals, I'd review it with them, and then we go to the next thing.
I want to point out here, this is the opposite of a QBR or TBR, where you're spending 60 minutes telling them about their IT.
Fire hosing them with tech vomit.
You're spending 60 minutes receiving business information.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And I want to say that some of my best partners aren't doing this quarterly. they are invited into the boardroom, or they are invited into the steering committee, and they are there with all the other C-levels.
And that is the way it should be, right? So what you have to do is exactly like, I love how you predict the next slide, Matt. You have to gather the answers, right? You're receiving, right? And then you have to define the opportunity. And the opportunities usually fall in two camps, right? There is the fix and improve your delivery and fix and improve communications opportunity type. And then the other camp that they fall into is to create a product, right? Like, oh my God, I have to do this for all my clients because it's going to help them generate like incredible amounts of money, or find a referral partner, right? And when you put the things into these two categories, what it helps you do, right, is get sticky. When you fix these problems, they love you and you're not going anywhere, and increase your revenue, right? So now we'll let Mike tell you some more, because Mike was good at telling you the first part.
I would go in and talk to them, and one of the things that a lot of our manufacturers talk about is labor. Well, I can't fix the labor problem. I can't. And we realized that by getting some education on some of our vendors, robotic vendors that deal with the manufacturers, we can solve some labor problem. And we're starting to introduce some of those solutions to our customers, where they take a menial job that they can't hold somebody for. They only last for 6 to 8 months, maybe a year, because it's just a boring, repetitive, I can't stand this anymore job. And handing that over to a cell or a robotic cell, they can take that, move that person into a job that they like better, that it gives them more. Programming the robotics, or doing the management of that type of stuff, which solves the labor problem both ways. You don't lose a good employee, and you're not paying somebody a lot of money to do something that they hate and they're not going to be there.
So cool.
I want to leave an anecdote here, because Mike said something that I think some people might be wary of or afraid of in 2025. This idea of like humans getting replaced by machines. And there's a lot of criticism I give towards this golden AI future idea. But I want to say I've been in the business consultation space in IT for a really, really long time. And almost never, and when I say almost never, I mean like 98, 99% of the time, when you replace someone's job with automation, that's an opportunity for that business to do more for their customers. It almost never results in a headcount reduction. It almost never results in someone's job being eliminated, or
it almost always results in the organization being able to take on more clients because they have more capacity than what they had before.
Yeah, it's almost always growth. Yep.
Almost always. And we see it with our clients. We see it all over the place, right? It is almost always growth. So we used to teach SBRs only as part of our coaching program, right? But what happened is that we see that there's a gap here. The MSPs really could use this cash now. So what we did is we put a workshop together, right? And it's one afternoon, 3 hours, and you can make tens of thousands of dollars from it, right? And what you get from it is you get the step-by-step instructions, you get live examples, you get to practice with a human, you get all the PowerPoint templates, which is like, they're like 7-slide templates because it's not hours and hours, like Matt said, of just technobabble, right? You get all the email templates so that the people can schedule themselves. You're not even chasing them to schedule them. We have a set of templates that make them schedule themselves. You get the SWOT template, right? You get the game plan template. And if you conduct 3 SBRs post the workshop, we'll certify you as a strategic business review process expert. And if you hate the course, we give you your money back.
Coffee clutch.
Yeah. And we call it the coffee clutch guarantee because we give you an extra $10 after we give you your money back. So you could go and go
Buy
to
coffee.
coffee with some, buy coffee and complain about us because we were so terrible, right? So the course is $497, but because Matt is so freaking awesome, so awesome, he twisted my arm, and so it's not $497. It's 50% off. So you just do FM 50 for Mesa 50, and it's $248.50 because our system can't do like, it has to be like exact. So it's literally $248.50. So if you guys want to put yourself into this course, this is how you do it. You just go scan that QR code or go to stargrowmanage.com, SBR-register, and do that. And that will put you in. And I think the next one is coming up next month. If you go to the page, it'll tell you exactly when it happens. All the dates and everything are there, all the course dates. I think October 15th is the very next course. Yeah, October 15th and November 19th. They're actually on the slide. Wow, the team is good. They updated the slide with the dates and everything.
Yeah, while you were talking.
While I was presenting.
All right, so I think that we did the little miniature version of this workshop, but really, I think that I've had this same talk. I have these little 60-minute coaching windows with people, and I give them some of the same nuggets. But I know that it takes there's a little bit to this. Like, there's a reason why Joe's certifying people. There is a level of knowledge. There's even a level of practice that's required to get good at this stuff. But it's not that hard, right? It just takes putting the technology down and learning a new skill, which is, frankly, for engineers that learn new stuff like pretty much all day, every day.
Yeah,
it's not that challenging if you just put the tech down while you're doing it. So I hope we get some takers on that. Joe, you want to give? Do you want to give a longer stomp on Start Grow Manage?
Well, I mean, we're pretty straightforward, like in terms of the whole reason why I started this business is to help MSPs live extraordinary lives. I lost my first marriage to this business, and it was rough, man. It was really rough, and I don't want anybody to have to go through that. And I have clients now that have been able to retire their wives, have been able to. I have a client that was working 110 hours a week when he started. He had $1 million business and he could not take any time off. He takes a month off every year now. He's coaching his daughter's basketball team. He's in city council for his town. He coaches the men's softball league. He coaches his other daughter's something else, some other sport. I'm not sure. I think it's volleyball, right? And he could go away for a month. And his he has a $5 million company now, and he can go away for a month, and his leadership team can run the business when he's not there. That's the whole reason why I do this. Like all the other stuff, like I can tell you a million things about the company, what we do and this and that. We have great programs. We have really detailed, granular stuff. Like, here's how you onboard clients administratively. Here's every step of the way. Here's every email that needs to go out, all that. Who cares? What I care about is, can you spend time with your kids? Can you go on vacation? Can you stop so that you can think?
I think what you're talking about is there's not enough conversation about that, because I would say the vast majority of people who start MSPs do it for theoretically for the lifestyle, right? And instead of it creating freedom for them, they're actually less free because now they're doing the tech job and they're doing the business administration job. And if they're not growing and they're not creating this that residual, then you really got to question whether you wanted to be a small business owner if you weren't going to invest in building the business side of it.
But it's mostly because they build a job, man. And when you build a job, that's what you got.
Well, Joe, thanks for coming and filling a Content Friday with me here. I'm excited about this workshop that you're doing, which I think, have you done this? This is relatively new, right?
Yeah. I think we've
Because
done.
this used to only be part of the actual
Yeah,
program.
this is part of Velocity, which is like $2,500 a month, right? So
Yeah.
this is only part of that, and we had to break it out because it is the thing that helps us. Like on average, an MSP that works with us will add $10,000 to $40,000 of MRR in the first 4 to 6 months. 10 to 40,000 the first 4 to 6 months without adding any new clients, any new staff, any new systems, any new anything. Just more money.
Well, I always tell people that the existing customer sale is the best one.
All day.
And I really appreciate your presentation today because I believe it now. I believe it as if it wasn't my idea. And I know it to be true because I've done all the study on this and I've done the math and I've done the spreadsheets and I have the account history. But I do feel it. I do feel it when I talk to partners and they say, "Well, my customers just don't have the budget. I live in this place where I can't get the price up that high." And I
Mhm.
know it's because they're not having the business conversation.
Yeah, all day, every day. If you're arguing with your customers about price, or if you're stuck on price, you're not providing value, and you need to know that. There's something that you said earlier that you have to have the self-awareness. If people are arguing with you about price all the time, I have an MSP that gets $1,200 a seat. And people are arguing you, but he's providing the value for $1,200 a seat monthly.
Yeah, yeah. No, you could do that in the right niche.
You can.
Yep.
You can.
Well, thank you, Joe. I'm gonna do our post roll here and enjoy the weekend.
All right. Enjoy the weekend.
Bye everyone.